Hi there, and welcome to the True North Trailblazers 2025 College Prep Program Information Session. My name is Bradley Thomas. I am the Managing Director for True North Softball Association, and happy to have you join us to learn more about our Trailblazers program for the 2025 season. So, just a brief outline of what we're going to be talking about. So, first thing is going to be we're going to be talking about why a college prep program in the first place. Then we're going to be getting into what our team philosophy is, an introduction of our coaches, why the True North Trailblazers specifically, and why they might be for you. Then we're going to be going over a sample training schedule, and then talking about our preliminary game schedule, followed up with costs and tryout dates, and then some frequently asked questions that we have. So, and then we'll have a little bit of time for questions and answers down in the comments below. So if you think of any questions as you're watching this, you can just enter it down in the comment field below, or you can email or text at any point in time. That information is going to be coming up at the end, or you can view the information in the description of this video. So why a college prep program? So our coaching staff has over 30 years of college softball coaching experience, and through this experience, we have learned the following. The first is that the jump from youth softball to college softball is very big. For example, everyone in college softball was one of the best players on their youth softball team. So it's not very easy for a lot of players who come from the youth ranks to make that jump up to college to make an impact. Youth softball in general does not do a good job of preparing players to compete at the collegiate level. In short, at youth softball, our coaching staff believes that there's too much focus on winning and playing lots of games and not enough on developing the skills that players actually need to play at the next level. And the last thing is that our coaching staff has definitely learned that youth softball wins and championships do not predict college softball success. That is not to say that wins or championships are bad at the youth softball level, but there are many players that have won hundreds, if not thousands, of games that struggle in college softball, and there's other players who might not have won that many games, but they have those certain skills and abilities that they need to excel in the college softball field. So, what does predict success at the college softball level? The number one thing that we have seen as a coaching staff is the number one thing is that players who have invested in their training and their development, and players who have focused on working hard away from the field of play, not just when they're playing in their games. And with this, we see that this is a huge opportunity for youth softball players in this day and age. There's an opportunity for them to do something different and reap the benefits that others are missing. For example, we've seen major growth within our group so far this year, ever since we started training them seriously this past October. So we have multiple players now who are already on college coach radars, and we've only been training them for 7 to 8 months. Focusing on training and your development works. We sincerely do believe that this is the secret sauce and that this is the number one way to prepare yourself to have a successful college softball career. So, our team philosophy, a bit of the origins for it. We started first with a travel ball team in the summer of 2023, and we moved to a year-round 16U team for the calendar year of 2024. Our philosophy started out with a travel ball team, but we've moved now to a college prep program. So, what does that mean? That means that our philosophy is that our goal is to deliver a one of a kind year round softball program that prepares players to excel at college softball. Let's read that one again. Our philosophy is to deliver a one of a kind year round softball program that prepares players to excel at college softball. We truly believe that every player, if they invest in their training and their development, can play college softball. This means that regardless of your current skill, if you put in the work and you put in the training, and if you put the focus in to gain the skills that you need to play college softball, there's absolutely a home for you on a college softball roster. How are we different? Everything that we do is focused on what works at the college level, not the youth level. There are many things that work in youth softball that simply do not work when you step onto a college field and you play at that next level. So we focus on training you and giving you the skills that you're going to need at the next level, not the current level. Our training is structured and focused on long term growth, and our gameplay is focused on competing and getting better, not winning at all costs. The definition of a trailblazer is the first person to do something or go somewhere who shows that it is also possible for other people. We spent a lot of time coming up with a team name for our program, and we couldn't think of a more apt and more accurate description than what a trailblazer is. So, all that being said, we are looking for players who want to be a trailblazer. These are players who want to do something different, who want to buck the trends, and who want to do something special and show that it's possible for other people to follow in their path. We also want players who want to play collegiately and show a passion for the sport. And we want players who are interested in committing to a year-round program of working and training hard with a focus on long-term growth. Our coaching staff is passionate, development focused, and player centric. And we truly care about each and every single player and helping them reach their individual goals, whatever they may be. So, following up to the coaches, let's do a little bit of a coach introduction here. As I said previously, my name is Bradley Thomas. I'm the managing director for True North Softball Association, and I coach the hitting as well as the outfield play for our Trailblazers teams. I'm a former collegiate baseball player and also a former collegiate softball coach in the NAIA. I have 12 plus years of softball coaching experience, and I've been managing True North Softball for 5 plus years now. I've trained hundreds of local players, including multiple current college softball players, some at the NCAA Division One ranks, Division Two, NAIA, and junior college. Next, we have Zoe Gillis, who is the head of our pitching program. Zoe is a former UBC varsity softball player from 2015 to 2018. She played semi professionally in the Netherlands in 2019. She has 8 plus years of pitching instruction within the lower mainland and was also an assistant coach for the Textown Tigers second team and is currently an assistant coach with the UBC women's softball team as well. Next, we have Rob Rakwenko, who is our infield coach as well as our coach of strength and mobility. He's a former collegiate softball player. Coach Rob played at Oregon State as well as Armstrong, Atlantic, and North Idaho. He's also played professional baseball for 7 years and has 10 plus years of sport specific personal training and skill instruction. Next, we have Danny Garinger, who is our mental performance coach. She's a former collegiate softball player where she played at Western University. She's a collegiate conference champion and a tournament MVP, and is a seven-time minor provincial champion and two-time national champion. She's also a current youth educator within the Lower Mainland. Last but not least, we have Erin Holtzman, who is our pitching advisor. She's a former collegiate softball player where she played her 4 years at Simon Fraser University. She's 12 plus years of coaching softball at the collegiate level and is a NAIA national champion, a national championship MVP, and All American 3 times, and was also the softball BC minor player of the year. So, why the True North Trailblazers? We believe that to best prepare players for college softball, you must make the training the priority to gain the necessary skills to play at that level, and you need to get the majority of your game experience against American competition. With us, every player will get an individual training program that will help prepare them for college softball. We work with the players to create these programs where we sit them down, find out where they're at, find out what their goals are, and help create something that is individualized to them and will fit within their framework and what their expectations are of themselves. We also conducted a research project that asked hundreds of current softball coaches what they're looking for in standout recruits and impact players. We have received 106 responses so far and counting. And within that, we have used a lot of this information to help inform our training methods of what makes players great at the college level. And our coaches are students of the game and are constantly evolving as we learn more. We believe that we are never finished learning as coaches, and anything that we can do to help make players better, we will want to 100% dive into it and question everything that we think that we know, because our number one goal is to ensure that players are being given the best experience to potentially play college softball one day. The majority of our game schedule is also games and scrimmages against American teams. We compete mainly in the USSSA of Washington State, but one thing to know is that the softball structure is very different in the US than it is in Canada. There are a number of different associations that host tournaments across the United States, and we are always looking to other associations as well for other tournaments, such as the NSAWA or USA Softball. There's a number of these organizations that host tournaments all across Washington State and the Pacific Northwest, and we are actively in the process of building out a super competitive game schedule for our teams for the 2025 season. We aim to play 50 to 75 games throughout the year. Now, while this may seem low to some of you who may be used to playing 100 plus games a year, we we want to point out that college softball teams play about a 50 to 75 game schedule. So we want to get you on roughly the same schedule and the same pattern that you're going to face when you ultimately one day join the college softball ranks. We also have a network of US teams that we work with to line up scrimmages, and we are continually adding more as we build out the Trailblazers program. We also enter tournaments where we will be challenged, not just the ones that we think that we will win. We believe that the number one way to get better is to play games against teams that are either at your skill level or slightly above your current skill level, because that's where the most development and the most improvement happens. Our priorities as a program in order are: number one, beyond all else, is player health, both physical and mental. If you aren't physically and or mentally ready to play or to train, we want you to make sure that you take care of that first before you come out with us. The second thing that is our priority is long term player development for college softball performance. We will sacrifice some things in the short term in order to set you up in the long term to make sure that you are being developed and you are being given the skills needed so that you can excel on the college softball field. And lastly, we want you to compete. Notice how we're not talking about winning here. We're not talking about winning. We're not talking about losing. We're talking about competing. We want players to learn how to compete. If we compete each and every day on and off the field, we're going to win a lot of games. The players who have committed to our program are performing very well against American teams. When we put our team first together in back in the fall of 2023, we definitely struggled against a lots of the American teams. But now, at the time of recording in May of 2024, we are right there with many of the top teams in Washington State, and that's just with a 7 to 8 month training program under our belts. Our approach to training and player development works and is only getting better as we continue to evolve. Case study: one of our players had never hit an over the fence home run in her life before this year. She told us that it was something that she wanted to work on because she felt that she was really close but just didn't really know how to get there. We focused her off-season hitting training on hitting the ball harder and hitting it in the air, and optimized everything that we did to ensure that she understood how best to do that when it came time to game competition. She's recently hit 5 over the fence home runs in a 6 game span. I know I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Our training and player development program works. So, why also the True North Trailblazers? As a coaching staff, we believe that we need to build players up. We want players to feel that they have the self-confidence and the ability to take risks and challenge themselves, and we can't do that if players are playing scared or if they're fearful of coach repercussions. We want to build players up in every single way that we possibly can to make sure that they're enjoying not just their experience with us, but that they're actually truly loving the sport of softball. We embrace failure. We want players to fail. We want players to challenge themselves. We will never get mad at a player for trying to push themselves beyond their limits and to do something that other players at their skill level or at their age are afraid to do. We want you to fail because we want to be able to work with you after a failure to help work on what are the things that you could do differently the next time so that you can succeed in a similar situation. Everything that we do is based around a love for the game. As a coaching staff, we all absolutely love the sport and we want players to love the game just as much as we do. We have a very deep, intricate, passionate love for the game, and we are eager to share those little things that make the game so great with each and every player. If you are viewing this in May of 2024, June of 2024, or even July of 2024, we want you to follow us on Instagram at True North Softball because we are currently posting daily updates about our philosophy and what makes our program different and why you might want to come to our tryouts at the end of July. Now that we've gone over why you might want to join the True North Trailblazers, we also want to be very honest with you of that there are some situations why you will not want to play with us. We are not for everyone, and that's totally okay. We fully understand that a college prep program is different and it's unique and it's something that hasn't really been communicated much before, and that's completely fine. It's not for everybody. We are not an all star or a select team. We do not go out and pick and choose the best players for the sake of winning a lot of games. We want players to be focused on the long term growth and playing college softball. We always say, we don't care how good you are right now, we care how good you think you can be in the long term. We do not prioritize winning, we prioritize competing. There's going to be many times in our training environment and in our games where we're going to put players or our team into a situation where we may have to sacrifice a chance at winning the game in order to put our players in a more competitive standpoint and a more competitive mindset. We are also not a showcase or an exposure program. Our focus is player development. If you're watching this before June 15th, 2024, please come back to my YouTube channel at Coach Bradley T because I will be posting a video on June 15th of 2024 about what the difference is between a college prep program or a showcase slash exposure program. There's nothing inherently wrong with showcase or exposure programs. It's just not what we do and it's not what our focus on. In short, showcase and exposure programs or teams are really great for players that already have the skill level that those college coaches are going to be looking for. We focus more on giving the players those skills first before they get to the showcase or exposure program level. We also want to play teams who can beat us. So we want to be challenged and we want to be put into competitive situations. So we are going to be putting ourselves up against teams that are going to beat us. If you have struggles with losing a couple of games once in a while, may want to look elsewhere because we are going to be okay with losing games and we also want our players to be with that as well as long as we are competing. We do not measure ourselves against local BC based competition. There's nothing inherently wrong with BC based competition. We just believe that the focus should be on competing against American competition because most of those American players are going to be the ones that you're playing against when you go to the collegiate level. So we need to start measuring ourselves against that standard, not against the BC based standard. Yes, we travel, but it's not a vacation. So if this one is more for the parents, if you are looking for exciting and exotic destinations, you should probably look elsewhere in terms of a program because most of our travel is going to be focused heavily on where we can get the best competition and give our players the best opportunities to compete and to gain the skills necessary that they need to play at the next level. We won't play as games as many other teams will. It will be 75 or less. So if you are looking for a game schedule of 100 to 150 games, we simply will not be doing that. And workload management is a huge part of our plan, which sometimes means not playing. We have a saying around our team that our philosophy isn't that everybody plays. Our philosophy is that everybody sits. So at certain points in time for certain games, players will sit on the bench for a couple of innings to ensure that players are not experiencing burnout and that they're managing any of the nagging injuries that they have because as our priority state, player health is our number one focus, both physical and mental. Now, on to structure and key information for the program for the 2025 season. Our age groups are going to be 18U, which is 2006 and 2007 birth years, 16U, which is 2008 and 2009, 14U, which is 2010 and 2011, and there's an option and an outside chance for a 12U team, where there's 2012 and 2013. Roster size is going to be 12 to 15 players per team, and games and tournaments will be on the weekends, with team training sessions mainly happening on the weekdays. One of the most important things that we need to note, that players must make the True North Trailblazers their primary softball commitment for the 2024 and 2025 season. We are enforcing this because players need to make a 100% commitment to their player development programs for them to really work, and for them to give them the best chance to play at the college softball level. Being half in and half out isn't how you're going to get better. There needs to be a 100% commitment to the long-term growth of the player in order for them to truly work. Expect a total of 3 to 5 team training sessions / games per week. We have a preliminary game schedule of 50 to 75 games throughout the year. Winter training is going to be at our facility in North Richmond, and spring and summer training is going to be at King George Park in Richmond, which is close to IKEA. This is a sample training schedule of something that we have found to work, and we're going to be implementing it for the next season. So our off-season training, which happens indoors at our facility in North Richmond. So a team training session number one is going to be focused on fielding and strength, which is 1.5 hours to 2 hours long. Pitchers and catchers will be asked to go for 1 extra hour on those days. Team training session number 2 is going to be focused on throwing and hitting, again for 1.5 to 2 hours. And training session number 3 is going to be more focused on competition and or doing classroom sessions and video review, and talking about the college softball recruiting process, and helping players figure out how they're going to approach their recruiting process, and how to teach them how to reach out to coaches and how to talk to coaches, and just going over the general structure of college softball, because that is one thing that we find is seriously lacking within the local minor softball community. Once we get to in season and we are outdoors, a big thing to note, our training and player development programs don't stop when we get out onto the fields. We still have full training plans in effect in season, as we will only be playing games on the weekends. We still have an extensive training plan set up for the weekdays. So, for example, we have weekday team training session number 1, which we focused on small group work and hitting. Team training session number 2 will be skill specific training / recovery work. Team training session number 3 will be full team defense and situational. And then on the weekends, we'll have games / tournaments, and or if we're not playing a game or a tournament, we'll have a 4th team training session, which will be focused on more situational / a live scrimmage. Tentative game schedule. So in September, we will be having a scrimmage weekend plus a tournament down in Washington State. In October, there's a possible scrimmage if we have some good weather. November, December, and January, we will not be having any games. This is where we're going to be putting in the real heavy focus on gaining the skills and the basics that we need to get good at for when we get out onto the field. That being said, though, it's not all just going to be specifically weekly training sessions. We will also have once a month. We will have a team weekend where we'll have extended team training sessions on both the Saturday and the Sunday, as well as a team activity thrown in, so the players can bond and start to get to know each other in more of an off the field capacity. In February, we are looking at a possible USSSA preseason tournament, which will be on turf. Come March, we will still be training, but we'll also be doing our training camp down in Phoenix, Arizona from March 16th to March 23rd, 2025. This trip will include daily on-field team training sessions, plus 5 to 7 scrimmages, plus MLB spring training games, college softball game, and a college campus tour. This is the big trip that we have planned for next year, where we are really going to be focused on getting out onto the field in a nice, warm, and dry environment, and getting a lot of reps to start to hone in on some of those skills that we have been working on in the indoor facility. Then come April, we are now into the meat of our competition season, where we'll have a tournament down in Washington State a couple of times that month, plus a number of scrimmages. May will be the same format. In June, we'll be doing a tournament down in Washington State plus some scrimmages, and then we'll have the focus on the USSSA State Championship at the end of 2025. One thing to note here is that there's a possibility to do more of a college showcase slash exposure tournament for the experience of it, such as the Valley Invite, possibly, which is a tournament down in Portland. We are not going down there, like that isn't our focus for the year. The focus is going to be going down to play against some really good teams in a competitive environment, so that players can get the experience of what it is like to play against some of that top US competition that they will be going up against in terms for those college softball roster spots. And then come July, we'll have another scrimmage weekend plus Cascade Nationals in middle of 2025. Team fees. So the fees will be $4,500 per player, which will be payable in installments. These fees include all team training sessions, team equipment, coaching, uniforms, apparel, facilities, and tournament registration fees. What is not included is travel and accommodations, and there's no fundraising requirements. We have taken the travel down a little bit from the previous year in order to make it more financially feasible for families and for parents, as we're going to be only doing one trip where we require flights, and everything else will be within driving distance. Tryout dates. So our tryout dates are at the end of July of 2024. All dates will be from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. They'll be Monday, July 22nd, Tuesday, July 23rd, Wednesday, July 24th, and Thursday, July 25th. Tryouts will be structured like a team training session. We want to see how the players train and how they take to coaching. We aren't worried about how good you are. We are more concerned about how good you can be one day with a proper training and a proper development program put into place. You must register in advance through www.truenorthsoftball.com, and the cost is $100 total for all tryout dates, and there will be no refunds for missed tryout dates. Team rosters will also be set by early August 2024. So, frequently asked questions. So, when will tryouts be and how can I register? Tryouts will be held Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, July 22nd through 25th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. each day. Field location is still to be determined, but it is likely going to be held at King George Park in Richmond. Is there a cost to try out? Yes, the cost for the tryout week is $100. How many games will we be playing? We'll be looking at 50 to 75 games. This is roughly the same amount of games that the top college teams play in a year. Do players need to attend every single training session slash game once they're on the team? Yes, players are expected to attend every scheduled training session slash game. We understand that conflicts may arise, notably for multi-sport athletes, but these conflicts need to be discussed with the coaching staff in advance. There will be no refunds given for missed training sessions or games. Can I still play with my current club team? No, roster selection is going to be given to players who fully commit to the True North Trailblazers college prep program. How much will the team cost? It will be $4,500 for the year with no fundraising requirements. If I am unable to attend trials, but I'm really interested in being considered. What should I do? Please reach out to myself, Bradley Thomas, at bradley@truenorthsoftball.com, or text 236-235-0896 to set up a time where we can discuss this matter privately and confidentially. There's a number of reasons why players may not be able to make the tryouts, and we're happy to talk them through it with you and potentially make something that can work out for you. I don't want to play college softball, but love the game. Is this program for me? Probably. While we have a heavy emphasis on playing at the next level, we know that it's not everyone's goal. If you simply love the sport and enjoy training, there's a very high chance that you'll enjoy your experience with us. So, to recap, the True North Trailblazers is a one of a kind year round softball training program that prepares players to excel at college softball. We believe that to best prepare for college softball, you must make your training the priority to gain the skills necessary to play at that level, and you need to get the majority of your game experience against American competition. We truly believe that every player, if they invest in their training and development, can play college softball, regardless of current skill level. Our coaches are passionate, development focused, player centric, and they truly care about every single player and helping them reach their goals. July tryouts are just as much for us as they are for you to see how you like how we operate. We understand that our training programs and our philosophy are not for everyone, and we are encouraging players just to come to our tryouts to see how we operate and see if they think that there might be a fit for them. And if you ultimately decide that the True North Trailblazers are not for you, we will always 100% support you because, above all else, we want you, the players, to enjoy your playing experience within the sport of softball, no matter who it is with. Thank you very much for watching this presentation. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below, or you can email me, Bradley at truenorthsoftball.com, or you can text 236 235 0896. Thank you very much. Take care.